Hello everyone, Dr. Dan here. Hope you are all having a great time. Welcome everyone. Please join me. We're going to have fun. We're going to talk about a lot of great things. This is an Ask Me Anything with Dr. Dan. How are you guys today? How have things been? Grateful to have you join me. Thank you so much. We're going to have a lot of fun. This is an Ask Me Anything. Appreciate you. Love you guys. Appreciate all that you do. What questions do you have for me? Let's go. Let's talk about some stuff. Hi guys. What should we talk about? Let's have fun. Petrol, yes or no? Petrol in your car, that's great. Fuel. Fuel's a good thing. Macronutrients are fuel. Fat, protein, carbs are fuel. But we need to make sure that we're actually getting medicinal molecules in with that fuel. So that's why we need to eat really good food packed full of medicinal molecules. Anything good for tinnitus? Love it, guys. Hi from Indiana. You guys are amazing. Tinnitus, ginkgo biloba. Ginkgo biloba has some really good properties when it comes to help with tinnitus. Soursop, oh yeah, soursop, amazing, one of my favorite fruits. Soursop has really good antioxidant properties because of the polyphenols. I say polyphenols, so it's interesting. In the UK, they say polyphenols. But in the US, as an organic chemist, I grew up saying polyphenol. So it's kind of the UK thing. A lot of people in the US say polyphenol. But anyways, polyphenol. Soursop has lots of different polyphenols, lots of bioactive molecules, has really good anti-cancer properties, really good for heart health. Great fruit, great to eat. Creatine's amazing. You should be taking 5 to 10 grams per day. The monohydrate is the best form. It's the cheapest. It's the best. Creatine helps with weight building, muscle. I'm tired. Muscle building. It helps with brain health. It helps with heart health. It can actually help with gut microbiome health. There's a lot of really cool, crazy things with creatine. So yeah, you should be taking 5 to 10 grams of creatine every day. Is creatine bad for women? No, it's not. It's good for both men and women. All right, apples. An apple a day really does keep the doctor away. Apples have really cool molecules called fluotin and fluoridazine that are powerful regulators of the genes of the body. Grateful for you guys. So I am an organic chemist. I'm a PhD organic chemist. I'm not a medicinal doctor, a medical doctor. I don't give medical advice, obviously, but I am an expert on molecules from plants and nature, on how they impact human health. Grateful for you guys. Is it okay to take beetroot supplement every day? Please talk with your doctor. Anybody with a pre-existing medical condition should consult with their personal medical doctor before taking nutritional supplements. That said, in general, beetroot producing nitric oxide because of betalains, that's going to be just fine. Whey protein. Whey protein has great benefits. The body needs protein, not just any protein. The body needs high quality protein with what we call a high amino acid score, which basically means the diversity of the amino acids. So it's not just the protein, it's the makeup of that protein that matters. And whey protein has the highest amino acid score of other proteins. You want to make sure that you're eating whey protein isolate. Best supplements to reduce appetite. That's a great question. There's a lot of supplements out there saying that they help to lose weight and reduce appetite and whatnot. There's a few ingredients. Caralluma fimbriata is one. Garcinia is okay. African mango seed, good at burning fat. The biggest thing when looking for a supplement is you want to make sure that it has third-party testing data, clinical studies regarding it, and safety data. PCOS. One of the best things to help with PCOS is to eat figs and dates. That combination has really powerful molecules that can help with PCOS and help with insulin resistance. All right, beef tallow. Beef tallow for skincare, that's a really good question. I haven't seen a lot of really good research on beef tallow, on this beef tallow craze. I was at Costco the other day picking up a few things. They had tons of beef tallow there and whatnot. Again, I focus on the peer-reviewed scientific literature. From what I've seen in the peer-reviewed scientific literature, there's not a lot of great data on beef tallow. Have you guys tried it? Does it work well? Scientifically, I haven't seen it. Elderberry syrup, yes. Elderberry, great. Something you should take every single day. Elderberry has a really cool molecule called sambucol. Sambucol is really good at helping to protect the body from viruses, from bacteria, has strong antiviral properties, and it's super easy to make your own elderberry syrup. I can send over a recipe. You could look it up online, but basically you take elderberries. You could buy them from the store, buy them from online. You take those elderberries, you boil them up in water, you simmer them for about 20 to 30 minutes. You strain out the elderberries, and then you throw in some maple syrup, some agave, or some honey to sweeten it up a little bit. Take a tablespoon of that every day. Beautiful powerhouse. You could keep that in the refrigerator. Powerful thing to do. Caprylic acid, nice for skincare, great properties for exfoliating the skin. Advice on how to increase fiber intake. So eating green vegetables, you just want to find something that's good for you. You could take, a supplement or something. You could take something that has inulin. Chicory inulin is good when it comes to fiber and fiber-containing supplements. But the best thing is to take fiber-containing foods. Celery, great with fiber. Swiss chard, really rich in fiber. Carrots, the cruciferous veggies, really good when it comes to fiber. All right, guys, what other questions do you have? My opinion on taking borax. I haven't seen a lot of really good scientific data and good safety data on taking borax. When you look at the scientific literature, there's actually a lot of case reports where they've talked about and shown people going to the emergency room because of borax overdose. So I would not do borax personally. I would use a lot of other good things. There's a lot of other good things at our disposal. How do I feel about all the petroleum in skincare? And I think you're meaning petroleum byproducts, organic molecules that are derived from petroleum. Yeah, that can be a problem. Some of these molecules are not natural. They're not meant to work with the body. I would make sure that I'm using Clean Skincare Environmental Working Group. EWG.org has their Skin Deep database where they actually take all of the skincare ingredients, most of them that are in skincare formulas today, and they rate them from safe to not so safe. And so I would look that up when you're doing your skincare. Should you take a blood test, see if your magnesium's low? Should talk with your doctor about that. Perimenopause, figs and dates are really good for perimenopause as well as fennel, the fennel bulb. If you haven't tried that, take the fennel bulb, cut it up. Really good data when it comes to helping to support perimenopause. Spirulina is great. Contains really good vitamins and minerals. Taking a couple grams of spirulina would be a really good thing to do. Wish you'd write a book with all the info in one place. Stay tuned, my friends. Tallow for skincare. It's a big deal right now. Vitamin D or calcium. Calcium is a good thing to take. You want to make sure that it's bioavailable calcium. Same thing with vitamin D. Vitamin D in supplement form is not as absorbable. You want to make sure that vitamin D is encapsulated in liposomes or micelles or yeast glycoproteins or something like that can make sure that vitamin D is absorbable. Protein powders, good or bad? Protein powders are great. They're not meant to replace food. You want to make sure that you're eating real food, but protein powders are great to get 20, 30 grams of protein. Again, as I said earlier, you want to make sure that it's high quality protein, and the best, highest quality form is whey protein isolate, because that's just the pure whey protein. It doesn't have all the sugar and other extraneous stuff associated with it. What's the best for insomnia? That's a great question. Kiwis actually have really good properties for insomnia and for constipation. Kiwis are great. Tart cherry juice is great. Tomatoes are great as well. Foods for autoimmune disease. That's a good question. Rye with the benzoxazanoids can help with autoimmune. You want to also take things, so autoimmune, the key thing is to support a healthy inflammatory status in the body. So eating foods like turmeric, black cumin seed oil, those can be helpful there potentially. But again, make sure that you talk with your doctor. Can you get the same benefits from the soursop juice? I would always go with the whole fruit versus the juice, because you don't know how the juice is processed. And a lot of times to obtain the juice and to thicken it up, they boil it. And sometimes the medicinal molecules can be degraded upon boiling. So it just depends. Creatine is good to supplement with. Talk about farro. Yes, I love farro. Have you guys tried farro? Farro is amazing. One of my favorite complex grains. When you eat your meal, you should always have a complex grain with it, and farro, along with black rice, freekeh, quinoa. These are some of my favorites. Farro, great properties when it comes to support blood sugar levels and insulin levels. It's good for type 2 diabetics if your doctor agrees, and it's a great grain. You should be you should all be trying that. Let's see. Breakfast. Cereals are savory. I actually do a protein shake. I take a protein shake and I add a whole bunch of other top secret stuff. I add a whole bunch of things in it. And I like that because you get the protein base, and then as a medicinal chemist, I add in all the different things, all the different molecules that I want for health, for my different need states. And so I love protein shakes for breakfast with other stuff added to it. Hi from Texas. Hope you guys are all doing well. Do certain foods create kidney stones? Some can. Some people are oxalate gatherers in the body. They can gather oxalate molecules together and form stones that way. Radishes are actually really good at breaking up oxalates. So radishes are really good for that. Hi, everybody. So grateful for all of you. Thanks for being with me. Love you guys. What's a good brand of creatine? Really, just creatine monohydrate. A lot of people, they're trying to differentiate creatine because it's so hot right now and everybody's trying to get into the creatine game. And so people are charging crazy amounts and saying that their creatine's more bioavailable and things like that. If it's liposomal creatine, then that could be more bioavailable. But creatine in and of itself is pretty soluble in the body. So I wouldn't worry about bioavailability as much. I would just buy a good, cheap, normal quality creatine monohydrate, and that's good. Best anti-inflammatory foods. That's a great question. Turmeric, great anti-inflammatory properties. It's good to take turmeric with food so that you have the oil that can help to make the turmeric, the curcuminoids in turmeric, more absorbable in the body. Milk. Is milk good for health? I don't drink a lot of milk. Personally, I get my calcium and protein from other sources. Whole milk is good. You want to get milk that has the lowest amount of sugar, and that's whole milk. As you go up, as you go down in percentage milk fat, 2%, 1% skim, they have less milk fat, and so they add more sugar to it. And whole milk with the whole fat, that's not going to cause any issues as long as when it comes to calories or gaining weight or anything like that, as long as everything is in balance with what you eat. Monk fruit's a great sugar substitute. It comes from a Chinese fruit called lo hong guo, and it contains molecules called mogosides, and these mogosides are about 80 times sweeter than sugar. So monk fruit's great. It has a little bit of I'm not going to say an off taste, but it has a different aftertaste to it and whatnot. So that might be something that you might get used to as you're trying it. But monk fruit, anti-diabetic properties, anti-cancer properties. Same with stevia. Did you know that the molecules in stevia, they're called steviosides, that give stevia its sweetness, these molecules are actually also potent anti-cancer compounds. Isn't that cool? Stevia, anti-cancer. And so that's another reason why it would be good to take stevia versus synthetic sweeteners, high-intensity sweeteners like sucralose, aspartame, ACE-K. There's studies going back and forth about these high-intensity sweeteners, these synthetic sweeteners, about causing insulin resistance, about, I don't know about that. There's still research coming on about that, but there is actually pretty good research, I think we could say now, that these high-intensity synthetic sweeteners can actually cause a dysbiosis or an imbalance in the gut microbiome, so they can actually throw the good bacteria out of balance and cause poor gut microbiome health. And so that's why it's good to drink natural high-intensity sweeteners like stevia and monk fruit. Help with insomnia, tart cherry juice, good one. Whey's great. Let's see. Hi, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. Do I love urolithin A? Oh, baby. I love urolithin A. Beautiful molecule. The cool thing about urolithin A is it's actually produced in the gut by the good bacteria in the gut. So what's really cool is the body takes from pomegranate, from walnuts molecules called elagitannins, and it converts these elagitannins into urolithin A. The good bacteria does. So it's actually really interesting. If you don't have a healthy gut microbiome, then you're not going to be able to make as high amounts of urolithin A as you need to. And urolithin A is important because it's an anti-inflammatory molecule. It can help with insomnia. It can help to regulate a whole bunch of genes in the body. It's one of these master regulator molecules. So let's see about carnivore. The carnivore diet. So the carnivore diet, here's my thoughts on it. It's a great source of protein. Protein's good. Protein is fuel. Although if you have fuel, but you don't have the spark plugs and all the other machinery of the car, then that car is just sitting there with a tank full of gas, but the engine's not working. So carnivore is good. You need to balance things out. The thing about eating plants, and I'm a medicinal chemist. I study plants. I'm a natural products chemist. I travel around the world isolating new molecules from plants. 50% of all pharma drugs are from plants. And so these molecules are medicinal. If you eat pasture-raised, grass-fed beef, you're getting some medicinal molecules because those molecules that the cow eats, they're actually assimilated into the meat, into the muscles. So you have some of that in your steak, but it's not to the same degree as if you're eating vegetables. And so that's my only thing about the carnivore diet. A lot of people see great results with the carnivore diet, and it's the reason why is because the diet that they're on before, they're probably eating a lot of simple carbohydrates, simple sugars, ultra-processed foods. And so when you get away from that, of course, the body's going to react well and you're going to see huge differences. And so if the carnivore diet's working good for you, then that's great. As a medicinal chemist with studying medicinal molecules and plants, I would encourage you to incorporate some fruit and vegetables in that as well. What helps with PCOS? Dates and figs are good for that. Beetroot supplements, yeah, they can be okay. Let's see, going on here. Thoughts on the keto diet. Just like the carnivore diet, the keto diet's okay. High fat's great, but make sure that you're getting medicinal molecules from plants as often as you can. We talked about monk fruit. How do I feel about quercetin? I love quercetin. Quercetin's a powerful molecule. I think it's a molecule that will probably have vitamin-like status in the future. But quercetin's found in capers, it's found in onions, it's found in garlic, and it is a molecule that you should be eating every single day. Suitable foods for those sensitive to estrogen. Depends, not quite sure what you mean. Be best to talk with your doctor on that. When it comes to what we call phytoestrogens, so molecules in soy and wild yam and whatnot that are what we call phytoestrogens, some of those can mimic estrogen. And is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? Well, it can actually be both. And it depends on your genetic makeup and it depends on what medical condition you might have. So with that, it's best to talk to your personal medical doctor. Natto. Natto's awesome. Natto has a really cool molecule called fucoidan in it that can help with glucose control, can help with blood sugar, help with cholesterol control, help feed the gut microbiome. Natto's awesome. Moringa's a great medicinal plant as well. It comes from India, has great properties for glucose, insulin control. It can provide natural energy. It's good for the gut microbiome. It can reduce inflammation. Moringa's great. Thanks, guys, for all your support. Let's see what else. Chia. Yeah, chia's awesome. You should make sure that you're eating chia all the time. Chia, well, as often as you can, a couple times a week. The thing with chia and why it's so important is it contains a molecule, an omega-3 called ALA, alpha-linolenic acid. And ALA is actually converted to molecules called SPME, specialized pro-resolving mediators in the body. Basically, so this ALA is converted to these medicinal molecules. The body converts them like how urolithin A is made in the body, makes these specialized pro-resolving mediators that are powerful at reducing inflammation. So chia is great. I love chia on my yogurt. I throw chia in my shakes. I mix chia in my kefir. Do you guys like kefir? Kefir is awesome. If you haven't tried kefir, I would just dive into that. I am totally on board the kefir train. Brain detox. That's a great question. Chlorophyll, chlorophyllin, eating green veggies that contains a molecule called chlorophyllin, which is really good at binding to different toxins in the body and pulling them out. And so that's a good thing for brain detox. Collagen powder, does it really work? Yes, it does. Are celery seeds good for arthritis? Yeah, they are. They're good for arthritis because they have anti-inflammatory molecules called phalcarinol and phalcaradiol. So they're really powerful. The carnivore diet, does it raise cholesterol? Yes, it does usually, because the meat contains cholesterol as a lipid. Did you know that? So in humans and in mammals, our cell membranes, one of the lipids that makes up the cell membrane that keeps all the good stuff in the cell inside and prevents it from going outside the cell membrane, it's made of cholesterol. And cholesterol is a lipid, and cholesterol is not found actually in plants. Plant cells, in their cell membrane and in their cell wall, they use what are called phytosterols. They're like cholesterol, but they're different. And so when you eat large amounts of meat, your cholesterol and eggs, your cholesterol is going to go up. Best superfood for weight loss? That is a fantastic question. I would have to go with berries, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries. Really good for that. Whey protein and creatine. Is it good to take together? Absolutely. You can mix those together. Peptides. Yeah, so what about peptides? Peptides are the big thing. Now, a lot of people are talking about peptides. So let's talk about definition real quick. So we have a big molecule called protein, right? And protein is made up of a bunch of smaller molecules called amino acids. And a few of those amino acids put together, anywhere from, 15 to 120, 150 amino acids long, those are of a family called peptides. And so there's a lot of peptides out there right now, DNF10, BPC, I can't remember the number, BPC something. These peptides, they do have good properties. You just want to make sure that they come in a product that's reputable, that's third-party tested, that the peptide is actually in there. One of the problems with supplements, especially in really hot categories, is adulteration. So they estimate that 50 to 60% of nutritional supplements are adulterated. So there's actually been interesting reports, and you could look them up online by the FDA, where they've actually looked at different supplement types like libido, and they've actually found Viagra being spiked in libido supplements. And so it's a big deal. Adulteration is a big deal. So you want to make sure that you have something that's great. Foods for menopause: figs, fennel, and dates. Moringa. Does intermittent fasting shrink your brain? That's an interesting question. Does it shrink your brain? Well, it can make your brain more efficient by, so the fat that makes up your brain, intermittent fasting has been shown to regulate that fat and optimize it. So it doesn't shrink your brain, so to speak, like you're not going to think as well. But what it does is it optimizes brain function. So intermittent fasting is a really powerful, great thing to do. For women, you should do an ADF, an alternate day fast, where you fast one day, you eat normal the next day, and then you fast the day after that, and so forth. How to bring down cortisol. So tomatillos, salsa verde, really good way to bring down cortisol because it contains withantholides. When it comes to supplements, adaptogens, ashwagandha, rhodiola, bacopa, those all have good properties when it comes to reducing cortisol. Pomegranate juice daily, depends on the pomegranate juice. You want to make sure that it doesn't have a lot of added sugar to it, and you want to make sure that it's rich in these elagitonin molecules that's converted to urolithin A in the body. Monster drinks on a daily basis, yes or no? Nah, energy drinks, not so much. That's a great question. There's a really interesting study that came out a little bit ago in May showing that taurine, which is a common ingredient in energy drinks, actually increases risk of leukemia. Isn't that crazy? So a lot of energy drinks contain taurine. If I were you, I wouldn't drink energy drinks containing taurine because of that. That paper was really strong powerful evidence. It was kind of an airtight paper talking about the health dangers of taurine. Erythritol. Yeah, erythritol is great. This is a great question. Erythritol is getting a bad rap. A lot of people think that erythritol is not great. And erythritol is found in pears. It's found in different types of fruit. And so erythritol is not bad. It's the amount of erythritol. So if you're getting a small amount of erythritol from eating fruit and whatnot, that's fine. And if you're taking a product that has, a small amount of erythritol, a few hundred milligrams of erythritol, that's no big deal. Where it can be an issue is a lot of these sweetener, the beverages, the snacks, the cakes, the cookies, the chocolates and whatnot that have large amounts of erythritol. If you're eating that a lot, then it potentially could be harmful for human health. And I say potentially because the data is still up and down. It's unclear. But for me, I would not eat large amounts of erythritol. Okay, great. Do GLP-1 supplements work? They're really in the market right now. There aren't a lot of GLP-1 supplements that have been shown to have powerful clinical data, extended data on their ability to support weight loss to the degree, that GLP-1s, Ozempic, Mounjaro, those have really strong clinical data behind them. Obviously, that's why they've been approved by the FDA and they've been approved for weight management. Is Amla gooseberry worth the hype? Yeah, Amla's great. I haven't really heard a lot of hype about Amla, actually. It kind of comes and goes, but Amla is a great source of vitamin C. It has a great portfolio of polyphenols. It has really nice antioxidant properties, and its characteristics due to its polyphenols, its antioxidant potential is different from other antioxidants. And so if you have access to Amla, it's a great thing to supplement your diet with. Amla juice, Amla berries, whatnot. Is minoxidil safe for hair growth? All the scientific studies that I've seen show that minoxidil at a low level, anywhere from 1% to 5% is safe. You can look at the clinical studies. Minoxidil has been used for a long time, and the safety of minoxidil is strong. Now, again, you should consult with your personal medical doctor if there's any individual concerns that you have. Can fenugreek lower sugar? Yes, fenugreek can lower blood sugar. Let's see. All right, kidney stones, radishes, really good for kidney stones. Does intermittent fasting prevent dementia? There is some literature showing that intermittent fasting can lower risk of neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, Huntington's. And why is that? Well, the body needs to detox. The brain needs to detox. And so one of the beautiful things about intermittent fasting, or even just eating less food, we talk a lot about intermittent fasting, but the other part of that is caloric restriction. And that simply means just eat less. And you look at the scientific literature, and if you look at any organism, from fruit flies all the way up to humans, if you eat less, if the organism just takes in less calories, all systems of the body improve. And so a lot of time people are seeing benefits from intermittent fasting because the body's clearing out the nutrients and whatnot. Too much nutrients can actually be a bad thing. So you need to spread things out. So eat less, intermittent fasting, both great. Okay, great. Anti-inflammatory nuts. Nuts have great anti-inflammatory properties, large amounts of polyphenols. Nuts are great at lowering cholesterol. They're good for insulin control. Nuts are great for brain health. So if you want a brain health powerhouse, eat nuts. Nuts are great. Let's see. Kimchi. Yes, I did a video on kimchi. If you haven't checked out my reel on kimchi, it's posted on the top. Check it out on my Instagram profile. Kimchi's amazing, great properties. Actually, kimchi, there's some great results and some nice studies on kimchi and hair growth. So check that out. Kimchi's awesome. And a lot of these things that we're talking about, I've done videos on. I just want to mention, if you go to my Instagram, I've tried to make it easy. People are asking, have you done a video on this or that? If you look at the highlight bubbles on top, every time I post a video, I put it in its category: fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and so forth. And so if you go there, hopefully you can find them. But if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll make sure that you can find them. What about the fat in nuts? Yeah, nuts do contain a lot of fats, and they do have a bit of calories. So people can be nervous when they're eating nuts and they're worried about excess calories. However, there's some interesting studies showing that nuts can actually help to support a healthy weight. And nuts, especially almonds, are actually appetite suppressants. So what is my skincare, or is it genetic? I take a skincare system that I developed at a company called 3, and I love it. It's called a neurocosmetic. But yeah, we need to take care of our skin. It's really powerful, really important. Clove water. Clove water is great. You could take a couple of cloves, steep it in hot water for about 5 to 8 minutes, and it's a really powerful, great thing to do for human health. Is rice bran oil okay daily for cooking? Yeah, no issues there. Okay, let's see here. Go to our other questions here. I should do more skincare and meal prep routine. Okay, that's great. Yeah, let me know what suggestions you have that I should talk about in my reels. Always looking for suggestions about new things to talk about. My greatest desire in all that I do is to just help us all be healthy. So if there's certain things that you think that I might be helpful with, let me know. Many meals. Is it okay to eat a few large meals per day or many small meals? I like to eat just a few per day. I don't like the idea of snacking, and here's why. If we want to be healthy, we need to make sure our blood sugar levels and blood insulin levels are low. If we're always eating something, blood sugar is always going up, insulin is rising to meet it, and so when we're snacking all day, insulin levels are high. And it's hard for the body to burn fat, it's hard for the body to lose weight, it's hard for hormones to be in balance when insulin is high all the time. Parasites. Are parasite cleanses really necessary? Well, so when it comes to whole food nutrition, walnuts are good at removing parasites. Pumpkin seeds are good at removing parasites. Limes contain molecules called psoralins. They're really good at removing parasites. Dandelion tea is good for the liver. Let's see. What else? Best foods for hair growth. Blackstrap molasses is really good there. Hyaluronic acid. Is it good taken daily, taken orally? Yeah, there's no issue taking hyaluronic acid, as long as you don't have any pre-existing medical conditions. HLA is good for skin health, for skin brightening. Food for eczema. Most important thing is to reduce sugar intake when it comes to eczema. Let's see. Okay. Oat milk, yay or nay? I'm going to be doing a yes or no on oat milk here in a couple of days. So stay tuned for that. What's best for osteoarthritis? You want to reduce inflammation. So for that, when you're looking at supplement ingredients, black cumin seed oil, boswellic acids, curcuminoids. When it comes to different types of foods, you want to take turmeric for reducing inflammation as well. Cumin's really good for reducing inflammation. Cloves are really good for reducing inflammation. Okay, red wine. Yeah, does a glass of red wine, is it really good for you each day? Well, red wine contains a molecule called resveratrol, but only a few milligrams of resveratrol. So you'd have to drink a ton of red wine with its accompanying alcohol in order to get a semblance of medicinal amount of resveratrol. So it's best to get your resveratrol from grapes. It's best to get it from peanuts. Peanuts contain large amounts of resveratrol. And then you can use a science-based resveratrol supplement. Those are all better options to do in order to get good amounts of resveratrol. What's good for bone loss? Prunes. Eating prunes can actually help to increase bone mineral density. So I would do prunes. Let's see, how to reduce brain fog. Great question. Actually, eating less can reduce brain fog. Isn't that cool? Eating less can reduce brain fog. Intermittent fasting can reduce brain fog. And then there's the berries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, really good at reducing brain fog. Does turmeric hinder iron absorption? Not that I've seen in the peer-reviewed studies. All right. What makes a Mediterranean diet so healthy? That's a fantastic question. The Mediterranean diet, the reason why it's so healthy, when you look at what it contains on the Mediterranean diet, you're eating a lot of fruit, you're eating a lot of vegetables, you're eating a lot of nuts, you're eating a lot of seeds. And so when we break that down, nuts, anti-inflammatory, anti-aging, can help with brain health. Fish, omega-3 fatty acids, that can help to reduce inflammation, help with brain health. When it comes to vegetables, again, anti-inflammatory. So why the Mediterranean diet's so great is all of these ingredients, these foods from the earth that contain medicinal molecules from Mother Nature. Isn't it amazing that Mother Nature has placed these beautiful molecules in these foods? And I always find it fascinating that plants, they have these molecules. And why do they use these molecules? It's not like, a plant has diabetes or a plant is inflamed or anything like that. Plants use these molecules. They make these molecules. They're actually called secondary metabolites. So plants make what are called primary metabolites. And that's the chlorophyll and the lignins and the different structures that plants make in order for them to survive. That's their general framework. And then they produce these secondary metabolites, these molecules like quercetin and elagitannins and resveratrol and whatnot. And they used them to help them survive. We don't know exactly how they're used or all the purposes why they're used. We know that they're used to control plant hormones. We know that they're used to protect themselves. We know that they're used as temperature regulators a lot of times. We know that they're used as natural sunscreen to absorb UV radiation so the plant's not being damaged. But the beautiful thing is these molecules that these plants produce are medicinal in humans. Isn't that awesome? Just what a beautiful thing there, that these molecules are there and they're here for our use, and we need to take advantage of it. All right. Decaf teas. There's some great decaffeinated teas. I love rooibos. Rooibos is great. Hibiscus tea is great. Peppermint tea. These all have their different benefits. Saffron. Saffron can be expensive, but taking a few saffron threads and steeping it in boiling water, it's really good, really powerful for health. All right, guys, I am going to head here pretty soon. Let's see, foods for thyroid support. Raisins are really good to support health of the thyroid. And for the kidneys, when it comes to the kidneys, Swiss chard is really good, helping with the kidneys. Can eating fish nearly every day be unhealthy? Yeah, it can. So it depends on what you're eating. If you're eating, canned tuna, it does have some heavy metals in it and whatnot. And so I would eat tuna and sardines a few times a week, 3 to 4 times a week. I wouldn't do more than that. And obviously, if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, please consult with your OBGYN and follow their advice on that. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you all. And we'll see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.